This is the old Quincy that we all used to know and love, but unfortunately, some time ago, he was out on the castle and got struck by a road DDT. It was a really bad crash, and he had to get a surgery on his eyebrow. It resulted in some excessive bleeding, but now we get Cyber Quincy, the new enhanced Quincy with no eyebrow this time, and he is really good at doing everything. Yeah, 100% totally. Anyways, the DDT got Quincy, so let's make sure the DDT doesn't get you. So this is how we eliminate DDTs with 3 easy tips from noob to advanced level difficulty in Bloons. So whether you just started out and you're not really sure how to even kill DDTs, or you're looking at some ways to optimize and make DDTs easier to kill in late expert maps on Chimps, I've got that for you, and we're going to go through all 3 ways that kind of just really make DDTs easier. So the first thing to do is understand DDTs. So let's take a look at what the DDT really is. So the first thing that you'll notice is that the DDTs are quite speedy. They're a bit faster than green, a bit slower than yellow, and kind of more closely to the speed of a rainbow, but not quite exactly. This does make them a huge challenge because mob class Bloons are kind of supposed to be slow, but these ones aren't. And then the next thing that you'll notice is that they have camo detection, so our poor little dart monkey unfortunately is going to be able to pop them. Now, instead of getting camo cross paths on every single tower, because sometimes that really isn't worth it, that can cut the damage for some of them, it's really easy, and if you're playing Chimps mode, which this video kind of is focused more around, then you probably should have these kept in mind, but having something to remove the camo, whether that's going to be built in your strategy or just added on, will really help out way more than anything else. It will allow all of them to actually be able to see them. So like the submergent support, blah blah blah, that will work out here. And the next thing to note is that DDTs are lead. This one's also quite a big deal. So now that our dart monkey can actually see the DDT, it's not going to be able to do any damage at all. Now, because it's lead, we'll get a cannon. Cannons can pop leads, or the bomb shooter if you call it that. So now we're going to be able to get pops on it. But as we notice, the bomb is getting 0 damage. So even though it can see it, it can attack it, it can pop lead. Why is this? And that brings it to the next point. Some people actually surprisingly don't know this, but the DDT does indeed have a black property. So that's why some of the towers like the bomb shooter and the Spectre will be doing 0 damage. Now, some other towers also can damage the DDTs, but they're not really good at it, like this Pirate Lord, which can kill the DDTs, but as you can see, they really aren't going down fast at all. In fact, they don't even get killed. Another tower that comes to mind for this is the Apache Prime. A lot of people will get the Apache Prime and then die to DDTs because they don't realize that half of their projectiles are explosion-based projectiles and cannot hit the DDT, so it isn't really doing all the damage. When we get an MIB right next to this guy, even sending like twice as many DDTs, the Apache Prime is going to shred it. So a lot of times you might need MIB if your tower has a lot of explosion-based projectiles or can't pop lead and all that sort of stuff. So if we just get a boomerang without any of the cross paths, we send the DDT, he's not going to be able to deal the damage, of course. So in this case, we would definitely need an MIB so you can kill the DDT. But you can also try getting cross paths instead if you don't really have any room. But just keep in mind that a lot of times it will be more worth it to get the better crosspath that does more damage and then an MIB just on top. Sometimes there are different cases, but sometimes you're also going to just need MIB in the first place, like with the example of a Comanche commander. So now let's pick it up and see, now that we can kind of damage the DDTs, how do we like really kill them? And the easiest way to do that is going to be going on to the next tip, which is getting support towers. So let's take a look at this example. We have an Archmage, and some of these DDTs go down, some of them don't. So if we need some more oomph, some more power, we can get another Arcane Spike to do more damage. And let's send these DDTs now, and not all of them go down, especially if we leak a bunch of ceramics. So instead of buying that, we can try buying stuff to slow the DDTs down. And this is huge. Slowing them down will make your other towers, your damaged towers, be able to take them out. And this time we do kill all the DDTs and even kill all the ceramics on the inside, which for an Archmage is actually pretty good and not the greatest with the ceramics. So the ways to slow them down is really important. So let's just take a look at a few of them. The Relentless Glue or the Moab Glue, 013 glue to 024 glue is crucial, kind of the best pick. You also have the 040 Sabo, that's the ninja, that will be able to slow them down with the ability for 15 seconds, very strong. The Abyssal Warrior, when set on strong 2, is also quite powerful. So now if we get all 3 of these guys and just send an endless wave of fortified DDTs, the Archmage is actually going to be able to take out all of the DDTs. Only a few ceramics skip by here, but that's pretty good. Another option that you have, this is definitely stronger on single lane maps, so this really isn't the best example, but it's a May Moab with an Alk buff, so a 420 May Moab. It will stun them, and it will also have some impact in other parts of the game. You can also go for some more expensive tier 5 towers that will take on the DDTs and slow them down significantly. This could be the Icicle Impale that I just showed there, or the Absolute Zero. The 250 is really good. This one's a pretty underrated tower. As you can see, it slowed them down quite a lot, and these also have a lot more impact in other areas of the game too. It's kind of a different approach. It will work in some cases, but generally using the support towers is a lot more flexible because you can add on just a little bit if you need it. But if you really need like a whole power structure and need to revamp the strategy, you can put one of these towers in and it could do well. So super glue also is another option. So when you're using these more expensive towers, it's kind of hard to explain. I have my Black Border series kind of explains it better because I spend like 5 hours looking at this. But these more expensive towers are going to be kind of based more in your strategy, while the towers, the support towers that I just mentioned, so like the Moab Glue, will kind of just be put on top to fix some of the weaknesses. But you have some other options, a whole range of options. Cripple Moab even can work, Super Glue, Icicle Impale, Absolute Zero, and then you have like the Moab Glue and stuff. So now let's take a look at this example on Chimps. We got underground Chimps here, and we've got a strategy. It takes out these heavy rounds, like round 98, round 96, they're going down with this. You got Spirit of the Forest, huge Piers, and a bunch of boomerangs to knock back all of the big balloons, but DDTs, they just sneak right through. Like, there's literally no chance with this. So we have a lot of money, you really need to put a lot of power in that. So there's a few options we can pick. Of course, we can try the Icicle Impale that I mentioned before. That's gonna stop the DDTs. It's gonna be more like in part of the strategy, and so this is going to work just fine. As you notice, some of these DDTs will come and they get slowed down pretty well. It's not really the most consistent, specifically because it is a multi-lane map. Some of the towers do struggle a little bit, but it still gets the job done. Some of them get far, but with abilities and all, we can take it out. Then you can also try Super Glue. Super Glue is going to work just fine. Takes out 95, 99 will also be free, but we also can use, and really kind of the best result here, I think, was adding the support towers. So we got the Abyssal Warrior, that also the Mermonkeys has the size of a spike factory, so sometimes it's hard to get it in. So I unfortunately had to get it in not the best spot. I put the Sabo in there, and I put the Moab Glue, and this one combo worked out really well. So this isn't really saying that a bunch of these more cheaper tier 4 towers like the Sabo, the Abyssal Warrior, and the Relentless Glue is better than getting the more expensive tier 5 towers that specialize in slowing down DDTs. It's kind of really hard to explain, and if you don't really understand exactly, that's all right, but you just have options. And if you're going to be building up a strategy, you could look into buying one of the tier 5 towers, but if you just need some help taking out the DDTs, just adding one of these guys will help out immensely. So this will take out round 95 super easy, round 99 super easy, and the strategy, the Spirit of the Forest and the boomerangs, are really going to take out the heavy rounds without any problems at all. The only thing this strategy is really weak against is round 100, so I've just bought a Moab Eliminator to take out round 100, and that's going to be fine. This is quite an easy win on Chimps. So a strategy that we put together, really weak against DDTs, we can fix it. We can fix it up in many various different ways. It's not just one way. So now let's take a look at another option that we have. I think I lied. This is actually 4 tips, not 3 tips. So our third tip here is just using towers that are really good at killing DDTs. So for this example, this is a Workshop Chimps challenge that I did a while ago where I had Prince of Darkness, and Prince of Darkness is quite good at killing DDTs. So if you just use towers in the first place that are really strong against DDTs, then you're going to have an easy time. And just as a disclaimer, this doesn't mean that you should only use these towers. A lot of these towers have weaknesses in other areas. Not all towers are really good at doing everything. For example, this Avatar of Wrath and Bloon Solver, you know they're really strong in other aspects of the game, but when it comes to DDTs, they do not do well at all. So this doesn't mean that you should only be using these towers. Just keep in mind that if you want to build around a strategy, these towers are definitely a lot stronger at killing DDTs when it comes to dealing your damage. So first of all, we can use synergies, of course, like the Gwendolyn buff on Attack Zone. Gwendolyn actually makes towers with her Heated Up and Firestorm do +2 damage to lead, which is really good. Another tower that you might look at that just eliminates the DDTs, is quite literally eliminating the DDTs, is the Preemptive Strike right here. So it cannot take out the DDTs that are fortified, but if you give the subcom buff, which in Chimps mode you need to remember the sub has to be in range of the subcom to get the buff, it will one-shot them. So it will one-shot any amount of DDTs. Very easy, nice, and chill. Another option that you will have is Ground Zero. I don't really use this guy a lot. It's expensive, but if you want a way to kill a lot of DDTs, this guy will do it. You just keep in mind that it can't take out the fortifieds in one shot. It will take 2 to do that. And then moving on from the Ground Zero, you're going to open up to see just a bunch more towers, like Archmage, for example, will take out DDTs fairly well. Maybe not the greatest with the ceramics, but then after that, you could try the other wizard, which is the Prince of Darkness. I really think the Prince of Darkness truly is kind of the standout greatest tower for dealing with it. It's a really strong tower that I oddly don't really see a whole lot of use recently. One thing that you need to keep in mind is that it has a graveyard and it will only spawn bloons if it has a graveyard active. It caps at 3,000 and will get a graveyard when bloons die within its range. So you need to keep that in mind. Bloons are going to have to be dying in the Prince of Darkness's range so that it can keep up and constantly supply you with a bunch of zombie BFBs. But if we add some DDTs to this with an Alk buff on the Prince of Darkness and an Overclock, it's going to just clear the house. The DDTs are going to get nowhere with this. Another standout option that you'll see a lot still is Permaspike. You're always going to want to pair this with a tier 3 Alk buff. Tier 4 doesn't actually have much effect on it, so don't really get that. It's not worth the money. And a Drums Village, and this guy will chomp them up too. When using this in Chimps, you're going to want to pair this with a bunch of stalls. You don't have to do a crazy stall, but just like a lot of Moab presses in the front will keep a lot of the ZOMGs on the screen for quite some time, so the Permaspike will be able to load up a ton of spikes. So when you get your inevitable massive rush of DDTs, like even this big is just going to stand no chance if you have a lot of like Moab presses pushing back all those ZOMGs to stall it out. So now let's move on to, I guess, the surprise 4th tip, and this is an advanced tip. You're going to be checking this out if you're doing some advanced and expert level maps on Chimps, and on top of that, doing some hard challenges. So as you can see in this example, ouch Chimps, we are totally dead to DDTs, and you can actually win with this combination even though we just utterly died. There's nothing that can take it out, there's nothing that can hit it. So let's take a look at this, and this is kind of the MIB skip idea. So you can take out DDTs without really being able to take them out. So as you can see here, this is a kind of more easy to understand example. We got the subs and Brickle, and the DDTs will go through eventually if we use our abilities. But when we get MIB, we're going to obviously be able to kill these DDTs. However, if you're doing this on an expert map or advanced map, you might not have money either, or it's going to be a lot more effective and safer for your blackboard, or if you're doing a challenge, you're going to get way more cash left over if you, instead of buying the MIB, buy another support tower like a Sabo. Now you can't kill the DDTs now, but you can do an MIB skip. So if I use my abilities in the right order, I use my Sabo start so we can mega mine a lot of the DDTs with Brickle, and then use level 3 at the end, which will then allow the subs to kill the DDTs. I will have enough cooldown on the level 3 to be able to take out all of the DDTs. You can also do this with other towers like Gluestorm, using it at the right time, the abilities at the right time. I can take out all the DDTs with a flagship that can't kill DDTs, leaving me with quite a lot of cash spare for this challenge. And instead of just doing it with Gluestorm or Brickle, you can also try out this way of MIB skipping with Gwendolyn. So these ninjas will not be able to pop the DDTs without MIB. They'll need MIB for it, but instead of doing that, we can go for get an extra Sabo, which might be needed to take out round 99, slow them down an extra bit to beat the DDTs on round 99, but then we won't have cash for the MIB, so in that case we'll have to get Gwendolyn to be able to MIB skip for us. So Gwendolyn will allow towers to pop lead balloons with the heated up buff that goes around automatically. So here I don't have my MIB, I just have the heated up buff applied onto the ninja right there, and it takes everything out. Now, one thing to note, that sometimes this buff goes away. As you can see, it is gone here, and when DDTs are out, that's not good. So you can use the level 10 Firestorm ability that will automatically apply heated up to all towers on the screen. So if you're watching carefully when the DDTs come out, you can see when the buff goes away on the ninja and DDTs are out, you can use the Firestorm and you'll get 100% uptime. I've used this trick quite a bit of times, and it's pretty good. It will save you the $8,000, so you can buy more important support elsewhere. Now, let's move on to this example where Quincy is going to utterly fail taking out this DDTs. Good job, Quincy. You're liking the intro. But we can get embrittlement, and we're going to be able to take them out. However, sometimes it's not really truly consistent with embrittlement, and you'll need Sabos to make it consistent, so just keep that in mind. Sometimes Sabos with embrittlement will be needed if the map is more straight line. So I guess in another example here, I used my Gluestorm to also take out this example with Quincy on round 99. So just for taking a look at the embrittlement here again, on round 95 is a lot longer than 99, so sometimes the consistency will fade. So here I am going to need the Sabo, and we can use the Sabo ability, slow them down, and then embrittlement will be able to get easier. So now this is more expensive than getting MIB, but we are going to be having advantages as we will be able to slow the balloons down in other ways, and we'll be doing +1 damage as opposed to just having no extra damage and getting the same exact outcome with MIB, which really can change your game on an expert level for Chimps. Just to add this note, if you're doing like advanced or intermediate, you really shouldn't do this. It's kind of an advanced skill and all. But let's take a look at this last little trick, and that is AMD stacking. This one is even more advanced, and for black borders of any kind, I don't really recommend doing this because there's a lot of outcomes and variables. But if you're interested, you can see that on some towers with low attack speeds, you can just get a bunch of AMD alchemists, and that will give it not only +1 mob damage and ceramic damage to that tower, but will work in any case anywhere, and we'll be able to take out the DDTs. This isn't really the last one, AMD stacking. I don't really recommend this for black borders in any way. There's a lot of variables, very random, can be hard to set up, and doesn't really work all of the time. But for if you're really daring or want to do some challenges, you can do that. So just for some final notes for this MIB skip portion, this is an advanced thing that will be very useful for harder black borders with more skilled players. It can save money by not getting MIB and instead replacing that with cash spent in towers that will help out your defense more significantly than what MIB would be doing, which would be nothing but giving you the ability to pop DDTs, which is something that our MIB skip towers would already be able to do, with also, as I said before, giving you that extra bonus. So that's pretty much it. I really hope this helped you out, and if you want to see some more informative guides, I have a whole playlist of all of that, and I also have my How to Black Border Every Map series, which can help you out, and subscribe if you want to. Goodbye!